Guided by the divine melody that soars in this sacred video, we step into a meaningful exploration that will touch the depths of your soul. Someone has been closely observing you, chosen one. Something they've noticed has them in a complete panic. You no longer view them in the same manner. The enthusiasm in your voice when they call has disappeared, as has the spark in your eyes when you see them. They may sense in their bones that you have lost all emotional contact with them. Everything that has been occurring to you lately, the strange meetings, the unannounced visits, the sudden interest in your life after months of neglect, will be explained by what I'm about to disclose. Everything happens for a purpose, and you'll view this individual entirely differently once you realize what they're actually planning. The baby manipulation tactic is only the first step. Hold off until you find out how they blocked your initial connection. This individual was living a total falsehood while you were giving them your all and thinking you were creating something genuine together. They were in a 5-year commitment with someone else the entire time, not simply a casual affair. They made you feel like you had a chance while they were engaged, married, or in a committed relationship. You're going to be shocked to learn that you were meant to be with them. Everything was prearranged by the universe for you two to create something lovely together, including divine timing and flawless alignment. It was blocked by something or someone. They took a decision that defied their own fate. Those phone calls they had to have in private, the weekends they were inexplicably inaccessible, the fact that they never shared photos of you two together, and the hesitancy when you discussed the future were all warning signals. They deceived you into disregarding the reality that your intuition was screaming. Giving bits of themselves to several individuals yet never really committing to anyone, they have been living in two different universes. The universe had other ideas, but they believed they could handle this indefinitely. They know that their carefully woven web of falsehoods is about to fall apart. They're setting up the pregnancy trap because they know they made a bad decision and are becoming desperate, not because it's random. It's really cool how they determine that you're done using them. Everything changed after this one chat, which they vividly recall. Something changed in your vibe as you were speaking. Your concentration wandered and your responses grew shorter. They had never seen indifference before, and it took the place of the adoring gaze you used to give them. They saw that you stopped laughing at their jokes and observed you looking at your phone during their conversation. You no longer leaned into their contact like you once did. The same horrifying reality was conveyed to them by every indication they had learnt to discern from you. You were emotionally checking out. If you feel the divine love, now is the time to share. Click the super thank you button on YouTube to contribute $50 or more and help us spread God's blessings. What you do is being watched and serves as a seed, and in the future it will come back to you a millionfold. Their W as no heated argument or emotional altercation, thus it wasn't dramatic. It was more devastating than that, and quieter. Your soul just determined that enough was enough. They could feel the switch happening in real time as the part of you that used to light up around them turned dark. At first, they attempted to ignore it. They assured themselves that it was only a phase and that it will pass. However, they were forced to acknowledge that they had pushed you too far for too long as the days stretched into weeks and your emotional isolation only widened. They started organizing the upcoming manipulation campaign at that point, which is when the panic started and they started doing calculations. The baby plan is flawed. Hold off until you comprehend their entire plan. Something triggered in their brain the instant they realized you no longer wanted them. It suddenly felt like the worst mistake of their lives to have taken you for granted for all those months, thinking you would always be available. They had been playing a game where they ignored you while they worked out their sticky predicament. They believed your affections for them were permanent, and they felt they had endless time. They believed they could drag you along for as long as it took them to decide what they truly wanted. All of those presumptions were destroyed by your emotional retreat. They felt helpless for the first time in all of this. They were accustomed to being in charge of the relationship's temperature. They were hot when they wanted attention and chilly when they needed privacy. Their safety net had been your constant warmth, and it was gone now. They became savage as a result of this loss of control, viewing you as a vanishing item rather than a person with real emotions. The tactics they are going to use are about power and ownership, not love. You will be shocked by their next actions. The fictitious emergencies, the pregnancy talks, the abrupt marriage talk, all of them are related to a single, desperate objective. Keep your seat belted for this next surprise. They've been thinking about purposefully starting a pregnancy if you don't already have kids together. They believe a baby will entice you to stay with them, not because they want to start a family with you out of love. According to their perverted logic, having a child means you'll have to give them another chance, but pregnancy automatically entails forgiveness. They are figuring that you won't be able to leave if there is a baby involved. For those who are already juggling a pregnant scenario, this is their passport to success. They intend to utilize it to entice you back into their control system. You may be surprised to learn how deeply ingrained the despair is in these choices. This is getting worse because of something in their present relationship. It's quite unsettling what's truly killing them. Because of the way they treated you, this person is suffering from extreme depression behind closed doors. They know they destroyed something sacred, and they relive every discussion you had about your future together, every plan you created, every idea you had about creating something lovely. They're drowning in regret about ruining a committed relationship if you were previously in one. They are unable to deny that something that was supposed to last forever was destroyed by their decisions. They are being crushed daily by the knowledge that they made a poor decision. Every night, they lie awake contemplating the life they wasted, comparing their current circumstances to what they could have had with you. They are going to do something that will expose their true emotional immaturity rather than confronting this remorse head-on. They can't stop thinking about the wedding conversations you two had, the late-night discussions about your future ceremony, the guest list debates, and the honeymoon sites you investigated together. This is what's making their despair even worse. Now that they know they ruined something that was meant to be sacred, those dreams are tormenting them. They're haunted by the promises they broke if you two were previously married. They're saddened by the future they tossed away, especially if you two were planned to be married. Every happy relationship makes them lament what they lost, and every wedding they see makes them think of what they lost. All around them are reminders of the life they were meant to create with you. Their further attempts at manipulation will therefore be heavily reliant on commitment pledges. They will make an effort to persuade you that marriage is still feasible. It's actually embarrassing to see the degree of desperation you're about to witness. Only those who have endured hell with a smile and emerged radiant are eligible to join the obsidian inner order. You came here to remember who you are, not to win people over. This is a war room for the spiritual elite, a headquarters for people who can bend reality, jump time, and break curses. It is not a community. Weekly Zoom calls feature live frequency upgrades during which the curtain lifts and dragons speak codes that unlock. Because let's face it, most people can't manage what you carry inside of them. You'll have access to elite downloads, energy technologies, and ancient transmissions that weren't intended for the general public. You revive rather than heal. You take back. You rule. If you're ready to join the anointed and are sick of superficial nonsense, click the link in the description. After then, you become the source in the obsidian inner order. Prepare yourself for pathetic attempts to win you back as they plan their comeback. And by half-hearted, I mean that despite their purported support for you, they are still unwilling to make a sincere attempt. You'll witness extravagant but meaningless actions. They'll bring you flowers without a personal note. They'll book supper at pricey restaurants but arrive late. They'll make grandiose promises, but carry on with their destructive behaviors the very next day. Without really asking them to alter anything essential about themselves, these attempts are meant to give them the appearance that they are making an effort. While accomplishing the bare minimum, they want to be able to claim, "I did everything I could." Watch their actions, not their words. The therapy session will never be booked, the departure will keep getting delayed, and the change will never come to pass. They will make promises they have no intention of keeping. "I'll go to therapy. I'll leave them for you. I'll change everything." Their sincere belief that these flimsy measures will suffice to win back your heart is the most offensive aspect. They believe that any attempt should impress you because your standards have become so low. They will soon discover how mistaken they are. Brother, whatever is done in faith is returned in God's abundance. You can donate $100 using the Super Thank You button and be part of this divine call. If your roots are connected to Him, your fruit will be blessed. It's truly fascinating what caused you to become emotionally immune to their deception. You began to see this person clearly. You can now see the lies they told so convincingly, the affairs they believed they had concealed wonderfully. You can see right through the manipulation techniques they employed with such ease. This clarity is a superpower, not simply an insight. They can no longer employ psychological tricks to deceive, confuse, or manipulate you. More than anything else, they are terrified by the fact that you have evolved beyond their reach. The change was slow, like scales dropping out of your eyes one by one, and it didn't happen all at once. You first became aware of discrepancies in their accounts. After that, you started to doubt their justifications for acting suspiciously. When the whole picture finally came into focus, you could see them for who they truly are. What distinguishes chosen ones from regular folks is this awakening. You chose truth above comfort, while others might stay in denial. You choose transparency over ambiguity, whereas others might justify poisonous behavior. For someone who depends on lying to stay in power, this level of awareness is dangerous. They used to know just which buttons to press to get you back in line because they could predict your emotions. They know that power is gone forever. Their sanity is being pushed to the limit by your unpredictable behavior. It is just pitiful how this is impacting their day-to-day existence. They can no longer figure you out. The individual who used to tell you everything about their day has stopped communicating altogether. They have no idea who you are speaking to, where you are going, what you are thinking, or what you are planned. Since they are unable to control what they cannot access, they are spiraling since you have denied them entrance to your inner reality. They no longer have any control over the course of your life, therefore they are alternating between anger and desperation. It's no coincidence that you've turned into this enigma. Your soul is defending itself by establishing uncertainty and distance. Now, you're acting instinctively, guided by an inner wisdom that understands how to deal with manipulative people. In the past, they had a direct line of sight into your thoughts and emotions. They could predict your reactions, assess your moods, and plan their next course of action accordingly. They are going completely crazy because that access has been totally taken away. Most likely, they are following you on social media, questioning your friends about you, and examining every conversation to find out more about your mental health. The individual who formerly knew everything about you is now totally cut off from your world. As a result of this loss of control, they are considering drastic measures, and you will be astounded to learn how far they will go to regain control. They are still haunted by their awful initial impression. You might be surprised to learn that there is a deeper pattern here. They are perfectly aware that they ruined this bond from the start, which is why they know they can never repair the harm. They are aware of how disastrous that initial impression was. They entered your life with the wrong attitude, the wrong goals, and the incorrect degree of dedication. All of your conversations ended because they wouldn't support them. They never prioritized you. They waited on your ongoing commitment while remaining emotionally distant. They refused to give you the relationship advancement you required. Thus, it never happened. They can easily see where they went wrong in retrospect. They ought to have been consistent from the beginning. They ought to have made their goals clear, and they ought to have given you security rather than leaving you in perpetual doubt. Rather, they prioritize their comfort above your feelings, games over honesty, and convenience over dedication. Everything that is happening now is a result of every decision they made in those early days. They're realizing that their choices about how to present themselves are directly responsible for everything that happens to them. They began a game with the belief that they might influence the result, and they are going to suffer a devastating defeat. They realize how different things could have been if they had made a different decision right away, and the remorse is eating them alive. However, some errors cannot be corrected, and certain initial impressions cannot be changed. It's truly amazing how things changed in your favor. You began to see that this individual uses the same strategy with everyone they come into contact with: the manipulation techniques, the lack of communication, and the emotional detachment. You started to see their whole relationship history set out like a roadmap. They handled you in the same way they treated their ex before you, and they're acting in the same destructive way towards their current predicament. Everything suddenly made sense after this realization, which was like to discovering the missing puzzle piece. Their actions were pathological rather than personal. They couldn't love anyone properly. They weren't having trouble loving you. You gained tremendous strength from the pattern recognition, since it dispelled the delusion that you could alter or repair them in some way. You came to the realization that everyone who came after you will most likely encounter the same issues you had, and that everyone who came before you most likely tried the same things you did. Because they have never experienced true repercussions for their actions, this individual has never learnt how to love. They simply go from one person to another, leaving the same path of bewilderment and heartache in their wake. You're the first to truly recognize the pattern, the first to refuse to engage in their destructive loop, and the first to genuinely mean it when you say, "Enough." You regained your power because of this realization. The second thing that happened was that you began playing by your own rules without even recognizing it. You were learning, developing, and getting stronger while they were being aloof and unavailable. They assumed they could use you as a backup while they sorted out their chaotic lives, so they thought they were playing chess while you were playing checkers. They started a psychological battle in which they were in complete control. The balance of power has been totally reversed. They can sense that you're going to win their own game. However, there is a painful aspect of how you used to give to them that you must first comprehend. Together, you would organize major events, weekend getaways, and dinner dates, and they would support you. Not again. Not one. This became one of their signature moves. They would just not show up after you prepared, got to the place, and waited for hours. No phone contact, text message, or explanation until much later, along with a feeble justification about being busy or an upcoming event. Your heart shattered every time this occurred. Every cancellation eroded your confidence. You began to doubt your own value with each no-show. Were you not significant enough for them to keep their promises? In reality, this standing you up pattern was a power move. Instead of demanding the feast you deserved, they were molding you to accept crumbs and teaching you to have lower expectations. The universe was preparing someone who would never disappoint you each time they failed to show up for you. This is when everything changed for you. You recall that conversation in which you opened up to them about your feelings for them, your anxieties, or your dreams, and they responded with the most emotionally detached answer you had ever experienced. Perhaps you shared something really personal with them, and they simply said, "Okay." Perhaps they promptly shifted the topic. Perhaps their response had nothing to do with what you had just discussed. Something inside of you broke, and something inside of you woke up in that instant. You became aware that your emotional relationship was one-sided. Someone was handing you emotional crumbs in exchange for your complete heart. They were aloof and closed off, while you were open and genuine. You stopped trying so hard at that point. You ceased to express your innermost feelings. You ceased looking for their affectional approval. You ceased filling their empty vessel with liquid from your cup. They saw the shift right away. All of a sudden, they were not receiving the emotional support to which they had become used. They no longer had unrestricted access to your heart, and as they had never had to earn it in the first place, they had no idea how to do so. The reason behind their current panic is your emotional detachment. They're at last understanding what they lost when you denied them unrestricted access to your inner life. Now that this information has come to light, they are going to start the most desperate campaign you have ever seen. They are organizing social media manipulation operations, staged crises, and office appearances. They will enlist your family, friends, and everybody else they can find to join their plot. Instead of admitting that they lost something valuable as a result of their own decisions, they are prepared to publicly humiliate themselves. To reclaim their place of authority in your life, they will tell lies, fabricate drama, and try to incite jealousy. This is when things get really crazy, though, because they are no longer simply after you. They are about to start a massive deception campaign that will involve everyone in your social circle. In an attempt to cut you off from your network of support, they will make your mutual friends into flying monkeys by spreading false information about you. They'll tell your buddies that you're inspired by someone else or that you're going through a phase. They will portray you as the bad guy and themselves as the victim. They will attempt to influence you to give your buddies another chance and cast doubt on your judgment. If you want to witness God's miracles, act now. Contribute $100 or more through Super Thank You on YouTube. It's like a seed that comes back to you when planted. May His light illuminate your steps. Every donation. This is psychological warfare now, not simply manipulation. And they are going to learn that those who are chosen don't fight alone. All of this has been observed by the universe. It is quite remarkable what is being prepared for you as they plan their resurgence. This person doesn't realize that you are more than just a person they can woo back into their life. Since you are a chosen one, you are impervious to their spiritual attacks. Their attempts at manipulation will all fail. Every attempt at guilt will fail. You will become even more aware of who you truly are in response to every effort to cause you to doubt yourself. The cosmos is working together to protect you from their poison, while also setting the stage for something lovely to happen in the future. Their next frantic move will actually push you farther away rather than closer because of how strong this protection is. Something amazing is about to happen when you realize how valuable you really are. The realization that you deserve something far more than what they've been providing, not just marginally better, not just different, but incomparably better, was a turning point. You were not created to persuade someone to love you in a healthy way. You weren't picked to wait forever for someone to see your worth. You deserve the entire feast. You weren't supposed to settle for crumbs. This insight is the turning point in your life. You were prepared for everything that was going to happen after this moment by everything that had transpired before it. Your long-held toxic energy is going to be freed forever. Another thing you need to know about the bridge that connects you and them is that the energy that they carry is actually detrimental to your spiritual health. Here's how it will happen. You come away from every encounter exhausted, perplexed, and doubting your own reality. This is energy vampirism, not love. You are being invited to recognize this circumstance for what it truly is, a test that you will soon pass perfectly, a lesson that you have learned in its whole, and a stepping stone that you are willing to leave forever in order to receive what the universe has in store for you. This harmful relationship must be totally severed, not diminished, not curbed, but obliterated. Given what is currently happening in your life, this is really important. Let's face it, you've suffered too much harm to ever mend this connection. Too many times they left you hanging without providing an explanation. Too many times they chose someone else over you. Too many falsehoods, and too many broken promises. They never returned to offer a sincere apology or try to make apologies. They simply left everything up in the air, assuming you would wait forever while they worked out their mess. Every lie raised another level of suspicion. Every betrayal weakened the foundation, and every broken promise wiped off more of the love you once had. Not only is the bridge between you compromised, but it has been totally obliterated. Despite your repeated attempts to repair it, forgiveness, second chances, third chances, and fourth chances, they continue to destroy what you had built. The cosmos is telling you that some bridges are supposed to fall apart entirely so that you can rebuild them with individuals who will respect them. The world has been planning something lovely just for you. Someone who will love you just the way you've always deserved to be loved, while this person has been planning their desperate comeback. Without your needing to ask, this person will regularly turn up. They will communicate intelligibly without requiring you to interpret ambiguous messages. You won't have to fight for their attention since they will prioritize you. Rather of pulling you down, they will work with you to build. You'll question why you ever settled for less when you see the stark contrast between what you've been tolerating and what you're about to get. You underestimate how intimate this new love is. The following must occur for it to materialize. You must fully let go of what was never meant for you in order to experience this wonderful love. You must demonstrate to the universe that you are sincere about getting what is rightfully yours. You're impeding your own miracle as long as you're energetically linked to someone who mistreats you. You make room for the magical the instant you let go of the toxic. This is about claiming your destiny as someone who was selected for excellence in love, not just about rejecting one person. This very moment is your moment of greatest power. This is it, the one you have chosen, the turning point in your life. You have two options. You can trust the universe's design for your life, or you can believe their lies about change. You have the option of moving forward into the magnificent love that has been written especially for your soul, or you may choose to regress into dysfunction that you are comfortable with. The individual who has been manipulating your emotions is going to take it to a new level that you never imagined. They will use every tactic they are aware of. If you're unprepared, they might even achieve temporary success. But now that you know the truth, you are aware of their tendencies, their shortcomings, and, above all, your extraordinary value. You weren't picked to persuade. You were not selected for waiting. You were picked to be the recipient of the purest, most potent kind of love. You were selected to disrupt dysfunctional patterns that span generations. You were picked to demonstrate to others what may happen when you don't settle for less than you deserve. You were selected to serve as a live example of true love. Your entire journey, all of the suffering, bewilderment, and heartache, was setting you up for the once-in-a-lifetime romance. Everything will fall into place when you make the correct decision and fully let go of what was never meant for you. You'll see why every setback was actually a reroute, why every heartbreak was required, and why every ending was actually a start. To make their genuine nature obvious to you, that individual had to come clean. To save them for someone deserving, you had to let go of your feelings for them. To be able to spot purity when it comes, you had to know what poison was. You were prepared for everything that would cure you by everything that broke you. Your future self is waiting for you to make the decision.